Bray Wyatt related as well. I feel like we are, I want to say up to speed, but the thing is that conversation is moving so quickly that I feel like every hour there's at least something new that's being found or something that you can find. I just spent like the past hour going back through old promos, seeing what I could find, and I found quite a few of those images that have been shown recently in those older promos. So it seems like they are dotted around. I haven't gone back before 2014 yet. I need to still do that. But yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, there was a video that dropped over on the Wrestling Daze channel. And it shows connections between 2014 and 2022. So yeah, that's kind of still the latest. I was just spending some time digging into that. But I've got a few bits to bring to you, and really I want to use this as an opportunity to jump into the chat and see what you lot are saying and see where the conversation is on this Sunday. It's kind of nighttime here. We're getting into nighttime now. It's 10 o'clock at night here in the UK. So yeah, I want to jump in the chat and see what you guys are saying. What I wanted to do just before I do that, though, is just go down some latest news, talk about what's on Raw, and then we'll jump into the chat and we can just go with whatever questions. But I thought it would be good to get some of the latest news and Raw talk out there. So this is coming from Zero News. Now, no judging, right? I honestly have no idea if Zero News is a good source or not. I keep being told different things. I have people telling me they're great. I have people telling me that they're not reliable. I keep getting mixed messages, so I am on the fence, right? I do not know, right? So I am bringing this to you for you to make your own minds up as to what if you want to believe it or not. But Zero News said King of the Ring next year is going to be a premium live event. So apparently premium live event, King of the Ring returning. Apparently the UK pay-per-view is expected to be a yearly event as well. So there's been a lot of buzz. Well, I say a lot of buzz. There's been a little bit of buzz about the fact that the UK could be getting another big stadium show next year. Probably to make up for the ending of the last one. You remember when everyone burst into song? Yeah, that's a yearly premium live event. And then apparently there will be more Wyatt teases on Raw. I don't think that's the biggest shock, to be honest, that there'll be Wyatt teases on Raw. I was kind of hoping that we would get that. But, yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we do. I've said I think they should do something on Raw because I think that Wyatt has generated a lot of buzz online. I think that him being on SmackDown is fine, of course. But it kind of feels like we need a little something on Raw for him. So I think just a little interruption, you know, Uncle Howdy, if that is his name, the mask thing, that interrupting with some of the imagery and then, you know, a little message in there somewhere, a QR code, maybe what Uncle Howdy is saying, maybe a sign in the crowd, something in the background, something that just lets us know what we could expect on Friday. So I said, you know, this one said Friday last time and kind of very much pointed us towards SmackDown and we got a big segment. I think this time it'd be good if, I mean, there's no point telling us Friday because we know Bray's going to be on Friday. We kind of need something different, like they're coming or we're here or change or something we can get our teeth into. So for me personally, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a little interruption, a little 30 seconds, a little backstage thing, something, anything, whereby we can at least then start to get excited about Friday. Right now, we haven't got a clue what's happening on Friday in regards to Bray Wyatt. Not a clue. Don't even know if he's on the show. I would imagine he is. But we don't even know if he is. So summer on Monday that kind of lets us know, yes, he's there on Friday and we're going to be focused on this. That would be good. That would be appreciated. So that's what I'm hoping for. The other things that we know that we've got, though, on Raw is Elias is back. So Elias is back. Apparently no more Ezekiel. Ezekiel is done. Good Brothers are going to be taking on Alpha Academy. So we've got a tag match. We've got Brock Lesnar returning. So Brock Lesnar returns to Raw. And we've got Matt Riddle taking on Seth Rollins for the United States Championship. So that apparently is happening tomorrow as well. A recent house show, I think last night actually, Rhea Ripley returned to the ring. So Rhea Ripley, who you might remember knocked herself silly in a match quite a while ago now. She knocked her teeth out, and I don't know if you ever saw it, but she actually was, I think, suplexed. And what happened was, as she was suplexed, her legs, when she came down, hit the rope, and they kind of shot back into her own face. So it's really weird. She got suplexed onto the rope, and it resulted in her legs shooting back into her head. So she basically kneed herself in the head, right? If you've not seen it, it's pretty crazy. That required, she got concussion. It required dental work. She needed like emergency dental work. And I don't know that we've seen her in ring since then, to be honest. I mean, that was, a good couple of months ago. And that, even though she's been around and she's been in segments, I don't know that we've actually seen her compete, but she did compete over the weekend. So Rhea Ripley returning to action, which is great to see. And then the final thing is day one. So lots of, that's probably the big conversation today I've seen, is that day one has been cancelled. And apparently, according to Brandon Thurston, there is now no pay-per-view between Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble. So that means there is no December pay-per-view. Last year, there was no December pay-per-view, but they had moved it to like January 1st, and that was day one. Now it seems like we're not even getting that. So, yeah, I don't know. That's really weird. Really weird. I feel like we could definitely do something like in December. I feel like the December pay-per-views never really do that well. I feel like that's a bit of a dead time of the year. I don't know why, but whenever we get to December, it kind of always feels like the calm before the storm being WrestleMania and the build to WrestleMania, which starts at the Rumble. They always used to say that it starts at the Rumble. This is the road to WrestleMania begins at the Royal Rumble. This year, we were starting to get that conversation that the road to WrestleMania starts at day one, and then Royal Rumble was just a part of it. If we're doing away with day one, then I'm guessing that means the road to WrestleMania starts at the Royal Rumble again. And so, I don't know, it's going to feel really weird not having anything around like December time. But as I said, it has always felt a very quiet time of the year. It's always felt like the calm before the storm. So maybe they just looked at it and thought, there's no point, it's just dead. It's just quiet. People are Christmas shopping and spending time with their families. People don't really have time for watching wrestling or something. I honestly don't know. As I said, it's always felt like a very quiet time of the year. But that's the big news about day one being cancelled. So I wanted to just take a few moments just to kind of read through those notes that I had to make sure we got that out there first. Obviously, if anyone watches this stream not live, then at least they get that information, and then we can go into the chat. And Jason is bringing us nicely into the chat by asking a question. So hopefully Bray recruits on Raw and SmackDown before he is involved in a feud. That would be a reason to appear on both shows. Yeah, the only thing I would say with that, it's a good shout. Good shout. Got no issues with it. The only thing I would say is that we do need to be a little careful to not overexpose Bray, because obviously it feels like the whole wrestling world is talking about Bray, and everything I'm being sent is Bray related. I've had people saying, why are you doing so much stuff on Bray? And the fact of the matter is, that is all people are talking to me about. Like, I'm just being sent stuff about Bray everywhere all the time. Like, it just feels like he's come back and that is the only thing people want to talk about. I'm sure there's things that people want to talk about as well as Bray, and I am more than happy to go into any conversation on this stream or any stream. So, we're not tied to exclusively talking about Bray, but it's just that is where the conversation is. So I think what with him being around so much, we do run the risk of like getting burnt out. We do run the risk of like overexposure and all of that. So that would be my only concern about seeing him and doing big segments on Raw and SmackDown like twice a week, and then at pay-per-views, and then you've got, you know, the mountain of theory videos that would come out as a result of all of that. So I think it needs to be managed, but I mean, look, there's so much excitement around at the moment. I've got no issue with them doing it right now. It's just, as I say, I don't know that would be like a long-term strategy. I don't think that would be a long-term thing. That's why, for me, if it was just a 30-second clip that just gave us a bit of an idea, in a way, rather than doing a graphic that says Bray Wyatt does this on Friday, tune into Friday, Bray Wyatt's doing this, rather than giving us that graphic, give me a 30-second clip, give me a 30-second Uncle Howdy moment instead, where we have to kind of work it out for ourselves. That way, we've still got something to engage with, but it's not really overexposing him. It's just a different way of giving us the information, basically. And that's kind of what they did on Monday. On Monday, rather than saying Bray is back, which they actually did later in the show, but rather than saying it earlier in the show, they gave us the QR code. So we had the QR code that we scanned, and it was a very simple QR code, and obviously it was worked out very quickly that the date was SmackDown. Howdy was at the top in the URL. So, yeah, people kind of cottoned onto that one very, very quickly. And that was it. Done. Lovely. We had something to talk about, something to get our teeth into. And, like, Bray wasn't there. He wasn't overexposed or anything. And we could all move on with our lives. So, yeah, I'm kind of a bit torn. Like, I really, like, you know, I like the idea of doing loads of stuff, but equally, I am very conscious of overexposing, but I think you can certainly get away with it at the moment. Blue Van Man, shout out to you. Hope you are well. Aaron, hello. Aaron said Bray's promo kind of felt like he wants to be himself, but he's afraid to be out of control. Kind of wants to be himself, but he's afraid to be out of control. I've had some really interesting theories about that. So I've just read a theory, actually. I was reading through my YouTube comments on the other channel, and someone put that they think that Bray might have actually, and again, it's just a theory, but might have been asking for help, might have been scared, came across as a bit scared, a bit vulnerable, a bit panicked. He was thanking the fans for being there for him. And, you know, was he also saying that he's, you know, still in a bad place, basically, still in need, you know, thank you for being there for me. And I still need you now, because he was mid-sentence when he gets interrupted. This, whatever interrupted him, is seemingly not very respectful, because it didn't wait for Bray to finish. And, you know, the words that it said, I know that came out of a Clive Barker book, I believe, series of books. Aberrat, is it? The "Oh, little one, my little one" line. So I know that wasn't his own words, but still it's a very interesting choice of words. And kind of saying, like, you know, breathe your last, your life is over. I mean, clearly this entity, whatever it is, whoever it is, and there's obviously a theory that it is just another persona of Bray. This entity is obviously not very respectful and seemingly is looking to do away with the version of Bray that we saw on Friday and control him and whatever he's got planned, basically. So, yeah, I mean, in a way, Bray is in trouble. He is in trouble. I thought it was an interesting theory, because even though he might not have been asking for help, he is in need. He is in trouble. Like, he came across as very honest and open and emotional and raw, and then this entity, you know, interrupted him and basically has threatened him. You know, you're going to breathe your last. Your life is done. Come with me. And I don't know how much Bray is going to be able to resist that instruction. And so that's why I was questioning about the theme music. I was like, I don't know that we see that version of Bray again, because it feels like that version of Bray is in trouble. That version of Bray is about to be consumed or changed or controlled or something by that Uncle Howdy. So I don't know. I mean, we could see it again. I mean, people will say, "Oh, it's got new theme music," but it's a song that's been made by Code Orange that existed anyway, I believe. So all they've done is play a song. So it's not like they've gone out and created new theme music. They've just played a song, which, is, I mean, could be a one-off. They might not have paid for the rights to the song. They might have just, paid for that one-time playing of it, which is why that might have been a window that Bray had to actually say to us, thank you, like speak to his fans and say thank you, because now he's going off to do something else. So I'm still really torn as to whether we see that version of Bray again or not. I'm still really torn as to, if we are going down a different path now, if he's, I don't know, it's there's still a lot of questions. There is still a lot of questions. But that's why things like today's video, where we were able to look at the imagery and see that it was basically imagery that had been recycled, that makes things a lot easier, because I was spending quite a bit of time looking at those images, trying to figure things out, as I said in that video. I was looking at the woman that was lying down with what I thought was a snake on her head or something. I was like, man, what's this? Is it got something to do with Adam and Eve? Is it like the creation of man? Is that connected to Full Circle? And you can go down some wrong roads easily. And I've been down many wrong roads with all this Bray Wyatt stuff. But, it was good. I mean, I feel like I've got some real clarity today. I can not dismiss it all, but I can, at least now I know if I see an image in one of those promos, my first port of call is to go back and look at maybe some of the old vignettes before I start digging in too deep and getting a bit too carried away. It could just be a callback. It could just be related to that. So that's why that felt like it was a big step forwards. Really, really like that. Really like that today. Today has been a good day. Blue Van Man said, we're all sitting here trying to guess what Bray's going to do next. Yeah. Gerard said, it's fitting that Cameron Grimes is on Raw tomorrow night. Bray advertised for Raw as well. He should recruit Cameron Grimes to his faction. I haven't seen Cameron Grimes advertised for tomorrow. Is there rumours of that? Because I got the Raw information from their Twitter account, and I can't say that I saw information that Cameron Grimes is there. Is that like a rumour that's doing the rounds, is it? When Uncle Howdy said, come with me, he may well have been talking to the Wyatt Six members as well as Bray said Planet Dan. Mm-hmm. I want to be crystal clear on this. We don't know. And Planet Dan was right in saying Uncle Howdy. We don't know that that's what that is called. The reason why that mask that's on screen is being called Uncle Howdy, or the reason why I keep referring to it as Uncle Howdy, is, first of all, I don't know what to call it, right? So it needs a name. But second of all, Fightful actually said on their Smackdown preview post, so they put up a preview post for Smackdown. They said, I'm going to find the exact wordings for you. They said, Bray Wyatt is set to be a focal point of Smackdown. We're told the mask that they bring in for him to use is called an Uncle Howdy mask internally. There are also plans to have abandoned Firefly Fun House set aesthetic. And what's really interesting about that post, going back and reading it now, is he did not have a mask. The only mask we've seen him wear is the one at Extreme Rules, which looked similar / identical to the thing that's on screen, yeah? The thing that keeps interrupting. So that's where this has come from, or that's where it's come from for me. That's why we keep saying Uncle Howdy, but I do want to be crystal clear. That is very much, we do not know that's what its name is, right? But that's where it's come from. So it could turn out that thing's called something completely different. But for now, I'm just running with that. And the abandoned Firefly Funhouse thing is very interesting because, again, it was in one of the videos, and I'm sure you've seen it by now. When Liv Morgan is beating up on Sonya Deville, there is the Firefly Funhouse TV. that's actually in the background. Now, I got a couple of thoughts on that. My first thought is that it could have been there on purpose. Could have been there on purpose to make people go, oh my God, that's the Funhouse TV, and get people all worked up for, you know, the Bray segment that was coming. And also it connects potentially Liv to Bray and the Funhouse and blah, blah, blah. Or my other thought is that they were going to use it. They didn't use it. And it just happened to be back there, right? Because we know that plans change. And it's interesting that Fightful reported there was going to be a Firefly Funhouse aesthetic. Now, what that means is that there's going to be a Firefly Funhouse feel. It's going to feel like the abandoned Funhouse. So when Bray was making his way to the ring, I actually was expecting some Firefly Funhouse-ness somehow, because Fightful had said there was going to be a Firefly Funhouse feel, aesthetic, right? And I remember during the watch long, it was like, how are they going to do that? Because you can't put up the door and the wall because the people behind won't be able to see, and then they're going to start booing, and that is not what you want during a Bray segment. So you can't exclude those people. So you can't put up the door and the wall and the window. So what are they gonna do? I couldn't figure it out. And then when we got to that segment, there was nothing. It was just Bray in the ring on his own. So I was like, okay, well, you know, whatever. Things must have changed or something must have happened. And then it wasn't until after, quite a long time after, if I'm being honest, that I saw on Twitter it doing the rounds about the TV was there. So I'm really torn on it. I'm torn as to whether it was meant to be there and meant to be in the Liv Morgan segment, or if it was going to be used for something, they didn't use it, and it just, because that stuff that is kind of lying around backstage, like, I believe that is where it stays. I believe that those boxes are the boxes they use. That's not just put there for effect. Like, all that stuff's not just put there to make it, like, dress it up and make it look like that's where they keep the stuff. Like, that is where they keep the stuff. So if they did have plans to use it and changed the plans, that is potentially where it would be. So there is a chance that could have happened as well. So I'm really split on that, and there's not really a way of knowing. But I mean, look, if we going forward continue to see things like that, we get our answer then, don't we? Because they're not going to cart this thing around to show after show after show and not use it. Like, you know, so if we start seeing more in the background, then we'll know. The RCW podcast said, I believe Uncle Howdy is Bray's alter ego, as well as Wyatt Six being his others. But I do believe new followers join him, but they're just not going to be called Wyatt Six. It's good. It's good thought. I mean, this Wyatt Six thing, I would love for it to be 6 personas that he portrays. I think he'd need to be very careful with how he cycles through them, because I think that I mean, I feel like you need to... The crowd need to not be second-guessing all the time which version is coming out, basically. You know, which version of Bray are we getting this week? I feel like he needs to pretty much stay in some sort of character, but just once in a while be able to, when needed, flip to a different persona. I think if he's just going to be like cycling through 6 personas week after week, like, I don't want to say it's going to get old, but I don't know. I kind of feel like you don't need to see the Fiend that often. The Fiend, to me, should be when things are getting really bad and there's nowhere else for him to turn and they've exhausted all the options. It's time for the Fiend. Like, that's it. It's time for the Fiend. There's nothing else we can do. That you've left me no other choice. I'm getting the Fiend. And so that is Bray completely. That's Bray just not in charge of the plane, right? That is Bray, complete hands off the wheel, not in charge of what he's doing, just completely out of his head, yeah? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if we are going to go that way, I think you've got to be really careful with it. But I think it's got great potential. I mean, we saw the success of the 3 faces of Foley, and we saw how successful that was. So I think a Wyatt Six with him like having all these different personas, I think would be brilliant. I'd be down for seeing that. I mean, if you go back and watch my early Funhouse Theory videos, I was so in love with the idea that he had a split personality. It didn't quite pan out that way, of course, because it wasn't really a split personality, the Fiend. I mean, the Fiend was a supernatural character and was involved in supernatural things, and that's not a split personality. That is clearly him being kind of took over, being controlled, being consumed. So it didn't quite play out the way I was hoping, but there's an opportunity to do it this time with 6 different split personalities, which I think would be really, really entertaining. But again, just got to be real careful with it. You know, we're talking about some real interesting theories and thoughts and things that need to be booked very carefully. I think we've seen throughout Bray's career, if you don't quite get it, if you don't quite understand, you can easily mess these things up. And yes, I'm looking at you, Vince McMahon. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Vince. You did not get it. Yeah, you didn't understand. You didn't know how to book it, and you did mess it up. I mean, how Bray Wyatt ended up in a tag team with Matt Hardy as the deleter of worlds is just beyond me. When you've got someone that had the potential to replace The Undertaker and be that kind of dark character, you know, he ends up in a tag team with Matt Hardy called the Deleter of Worlds. I mean, that didn't really inspire much confidence. And, you know, then obviously he went away and then came back with the Funhouse, which was brilliant. But I think we can agree that there was missteps with the Hell in a Cell match, losing to Goldberg, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I think you just got to be really real careful with this stuff. But I like the idea of him having the 6 personalities. I don't know that it goes that way. Wyatt Six, as we said, could be 6 different members of a faction, and that could be the Wyatt Six. There's been people saying, like, what if Wyatt Six has got nothing to do with this? What if Wyatt Six just isn't in WWE? And that's true as well. I mean, I don't know. I know that Bray trademarked Wyatt Six. Bray trademarked it. I don't know that WWE did. And we know that WWE don't like to touch things that other people own. So Bray Wyatt, I believe, owns Wyatt Six, and I believe he trademarked it whilst he was out of WWE. That is something I'd have to look into, to be honest, to see if they trademarked it as well. I mean, if he trademarked it, I don't think they can trademark it. So I don't know. Yeah, it is worth mentioning that we might not even go that way at all. There's a lot of focus on 6 and Wyatt Six, but as I said, WWE might not end up going in that direction. So that is also food for thought. Scarlet Ninja said, would you be down in Wyatt's stable being Bray, Vincent, Dutch, Bo, Alexa, and Liv? Yeah, I'd be down for that. I think it'd be unorthodox. I'm trying to think of a faction that's got 2 women in it in WWE. The only one that I can think of and compare it to would be Dark Order, who have got Ty Conti and Anna Jay. I can't think of one in WWE that's got 2 women, apart from Rhea and Dominic. But no, I would be down for it. I think it would be very interesting, very different. And what with women's tag titles, I think you could have them go after those. I think that you could have them potentially go after the 2 women's championships as well. You could have Alexa go after Raw. You could have Liv go after SmackDown. And so you could even go in that direction. I think Vincent and Dutch feel very much like a tag team to me. They feel very much like a tag team. Bray feels like a future world champion if underlined, we want to go that way. Because, as we've said, I think he's better when he is the person that is hunting rather than being hunted. So, there's people that are split on that. There's people that are split on whether he goes after Roman and goes after the title or not. And I must admit, I'm split on it as well. I think he would be fine to end Roman's title reign. I think that he, being booked right, could be a very interesting champion. It's just at this stage, we don't quite know what his motivation is. We don't know what he's back for. Don't know what he's back for yet. Is he back for more belts? Is that something that motivates him? Or is he back because he's got unfinished business with people like Alexa, like Randy, and that's what motivates him? Or is he back because he doesn't care about belts and he doesn't care about the past? He wants to create new moments and he wants to create new stories, new characters, and he wants to add to his career already. Or maybe it's a little bit of everything, but as I said, we still don't quite know what's motivating him. And that would be really interesting to find out. That would be really interesting to find out if he was to, let us know why he was back. What is he here for? What's the motivation? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure we will find that out eventually. But at the moment, we're kind of second guessing. William said, I would rather have Asuka as a witch. On Raw, Miz against Dexter Lumis, plus Cora Jade on the show, says Rotem. Rotem, the legend, took the wrestling world by storm. Never doubted you, Rotem. Never doubted you, mate. I was right there. People were like, oh, you're going to do the boxing? I was like, no, I can't do the boxing. I need to get to Rotem's message. Rotem told me there was a part of SmackDown that wasn't shown, and I've got to get to it. But people were like, you've got to do the boxing. You've got to. I'm scared. I'm alone. I'm scared. I need someone to watch the boxing with. And I was like, oh. So begrudgingly, I did the boxing. But as soon as I was done, I was there, mate. I was there. James, shout out to you. Hope you are well. James sent me an interesting thing as well, which was Brody the Rabbit. It's cool, innit? Brody Lee, White Rabbit. And it's a white rabbit as well in Scotland. I actually don't know how long it's been there for. But, yeah, if you actually go and have a look, Google it, you'll see there's a rabbit about 7 foot tall or so. I think it's bigger than that, actually. I think it's way bigger than that. And it's kind of lying on a bank, and it's called Brody. And I know we're past the white rabbit stuff, but that's so nice that this white rabbit is called Brody. It does make me think that, there could be an image of it that pops up in the future. That seems like a hard one for Bray to not use at some point, because people will look into it, see this rabbit again, look into it, and then it's called Brody, and everyone will be like, oh. So I reckon there's a chance, definitely a chance that it'll pop up at some point. This chat has got Rotem on their shoulders. Rotem. Yeah, very cool, man. Very, very cool. Me name's Bryn Weevil said, what's your thoughts on the mask? It's one entity and haunting Bray, trying to make him wear the mask, making him a heel, wearing it, an emotional face when not wearing it. So when he puts the mask on, he's a heel. When he takes it off, he's a face. Don't know. I don't know because I don't know about that. Because my thoughts are that when we saw him at Extreme Rules, he had it on, which would technically mean he was a heel when he first came back, right? Which is fine, because obviously he then takes it off and then he's a face, as you say. But if he's a heel, what would motivate him to take it off? Like, if he's a heel when he's got it on, why would he take it off to show his face to the people? Because if he's a heel, that would suggest he doesn't care about the people. I mean, look, we can say that I'm going too deep into it, but I think when it comes to Bray, I think you're allowed to. But yeah, I would just, if that was the story, my question would be, okay, well, when he's got it on, he's a heel. So let's say I've got on the mask, I'm a heel right now. Why am I taking it off to show my face to the people? Because if I'm a heel, I don't care about the people. So what is motivating me to take the mask off? I'm just out for myself. I don't like the people. If you do that, and you went that way, it could be cool if the mask got knocked off or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or someone mid-match took it off, and then like that altered like Bray's like, I don't know, persona or something. I don't know. It's a tricky one. I feel like that's one that we'd spend a long time chewing over. It doesn't feel as clean as like, yeah, that's the way forward, if you know what I mean. Just because that's where my head went. And if my head went there, I have to think other people's would as well. Asib said, I've got a couple of questions. Why was Bray so heavily linked to AEW at last year's Full Gear? And what does the lantern now represent? So he was heavily linked to Full Gear because I think there was a rumor doing the rounds that he had like a 90-day non-compete or something, 60-day non-compete. I can't remember the exact days, but people worked out that Full Gear was going to be the first AEW show that he could actually be at once the non-compete actually expires. I think people worked out he might have made it to a Dynamite, but it was going to be unlikely that he would be at the Dynamite and it would be, the first pay-per-view. You've got to remember, and I mean, it's still the case now, AEW are desperately scrambling around for anything that's going to bring them ratings. And Bray Wyatt is going to bring you ratings. If you're AEW, Bray Wyatt is bringing you ratings. I think we can all agree on that, yeah? So if you're AEW and you're getting 900,000, you go and get Bray Wyatt, you're going to see a bump. Don't know how long that bump's going to last for because, of course, they've brought in Daniel Bryan, they've brought in CM Punk, and we're right back down to 900,000 again. So, we don't know how long that bump would have been, but there would have been a bump. And I think the idea that AEW wouldn't approach Bray and ask and see if he was available, that was seemingly, for me personally, I thought, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Do you know what I mean? If you had a wrestling promotion, your own wrestling promotion, and Bray Wyatt became available, he just got fired from WWE, so he's clearly not going back there anytime soon. Well, where else is he going? Where else is he going? He ain't going to go over to Impact. He's not going to MLW. No offense to Impact and MLW, but AEW is bigger. Like, they do bigger ratings. They're a bigger company. They're seen by more people. Tony Khan's got money. So you look at that and you go, it's a no-brainer as to where he goes. If he's not in the number one wrestling promotion, he goes to the number two wrestling promotion, which is AEW. So that's why Full Gear had all of that kind of focus and attention. And there was a lot of, I think, a bit of hope and a bit of expectation. It just seemed like a no-brainer. You'd have to imagine as soon as he was available, Tony Khan on the phone. And then as we got closer to it, there was a rumor and a report that came out that Bray was doing a movie. And I must admit, and I'll hold my hands up to this, my thought was, have they said that to throw us off the case? Have they said that because they don't want you to know that Bray is going to be there? Because it worked. It worked. As soon as people heard that Bray was in a movie, everyone was like, right, he's not at Full Gear then. He's doing a movie instead. And I was like, whoa, hang on. What if there is no movie? What if there is no movie and it's just been said so that it throws you off and then, oh my God, here's Bray Wyatt? So I was still very much like, this could happen. This could happen. So I was still very much, I don't want to say expecting it, but I think since Bray left AEW Full Gear 2021, that's the only time that I've been, yeah, I think there's a good chance this is where we're going to get him. Ever since then, I've not felt that way. That was the one, because as I said, it was the first show since his non-compete wrapped up. There was seemed a no-brainer that he'd go to the second biggest company. And then, as we know, it didn't pan out, didn't go that way. We believe there was a film. We haven't seen it yet, but or a trailer or anything, but I believe it happened. I believe he's done it. I believe we will see a trailer and something to do with it soon. And I don't know what I think AEW did reach out to him. We know that Freddie Prinze Jr. put in an offer. So certainly there's companies that have approached him and given him offers. But I don't know. I really don't know as to why he didn't do anything for over a year. He did a film, which I'm sure that ate up a lot of time, but I don't think that would take up a year. I'm sure he spent some family time as well and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, strange that he was out of the game for like over 12 months, and he never went anywhere else. Never did an interview. Never spilled the beans. There was none of that, reveal all. He never went on Talk Is Jericho or anything like this. He just kind of kept his head down, stayed out the way, had a bit of family time, did his film, and yeah. Richard K, shout out to you, buds. Richard says, could we see a Bray Wyatt feud with the Judgment Day? Will take over the faction that leaves 5. So you get Damian, Dom, Finn, and himself. That's 5. Then Braun would make 6, and he could rename them Wyatt Six. Don't know, to be honest. I don't know, because, I mean, could he do that? He could do that. There's no reason why he can't do that. But obviously there's a lot of talk about Bo Dallas coming back, and there's a lot of talk about Vincent and Dutch, and they're putting out a lot of teases on social media. And I've said before, always take them with a pinch of salt, right? Always. So certainly that's not an indicator that, they're going to be with Bray, because we don't know that for certain. But I think the fact that they were backstage and there's rumors of them coming in, they have certainly seen those reports, and they're either laying the groundwork at the moment, or they are properly maximizing the attention that they're getting. So yeah, you always have to take that with a pinch of salt. So I mean, look, it could go that way. It could take over Judgment Day and become the leader of that faction. I think Finn being in the background would be a bit of a shame. Finn being in the background, 'cause Finn would be second to Bray, of course he would. So that would be a little bit of a shame. But having the demon character within like a Wyatt universe, that would be fun. So, you could get something from that. It'd be great for Dominic, it'd be great for Damian, it'd be great for Rhea as well. Like, they all kind of look and feel like they could operate within that world. But equally, I would argue that they make good opponents for Bray as well. Like, I kind of feel like Bray can put a band of people together and go after Judgment Day. So because of the Dutch thing, because of Bo Dallas, because of the Vince and all of that kind of, connections, I'm going to lean towards that not happening. But it could. I mean, it could. I can't sit here and really say that it can't. Right, next we've got, I don't know if I missed one. I've got Jason Parsons. Shout out to you. Jason said, hopefully Bray recruits on Raw and SmackDown before he's involved. That would be a good Oh, is that old? Is that the same as the one before? I'm sure we read that before, didn't we? Did we read that before? Either way, shout out to you. It's not updating at the top, is it? Oh my, we've got technical difficulties. It's throwing me off. Here we go. We've got Rob Bass. Rob, shout out to you, dudes. Rob said, Funhouse Bray versus Miz. We saw Bray in the ring and Fiend on screen. Friday, we saw Bray in the ring and a masked person on screen. Same thing, different mask, in my opinion. Yeah, good shout. Good shout. It could absolutely be that. There is a theory that is Bray in a mask, and that is another part of Bray. And this is a part of Bray, and it's a whole split personality thing. That does lean towards the multiple personalities and him being Wyatt Six, whatever. I don't know that to be honest, I don't know that it's going to go that far and that he is going to be the Wyatt Six. I don't know that we get that, and then we start seeing like Funhouse Bray and all this kind of stuff. But we could. I mean, I feel like we will see the Fiend again. I feel like we will see the Funhouse again. So if we see the Funhouse, I suppose we have to see Funhouse Bray. So I mean, if you go with say Fiend, I think we definitely see Fiend again. He's too popular. I think we get the Funhouse again in the future, so that would mean Funhouse Bray. We just had Wyndham, his true self. I don't know if we see him again or not. Really don't know. This Uncle Howdy, as we said, we'll go with that name for now, Uncle Howdy. So we get that. Then you've got normal Bray, cult leader Bray. So you've got that one there as well. Some people have said Husky Harris, but I really don't know. Don't know that he'll want to revisit that. That's not something that he's fond of. So it's not something that he's like keen on. I mean, you can kind of pencil it in, I suppose, for now, but who knows? There could be another identity that we've yet to be introduced to. So yeah, I mean, look, there's potential for it, and as I said, I certainly wouldn't mind if it went that way. The only thing I would say is that, and I did make this point the other day, if that is the direction we're going, that would mean to me, or it would say to me, that the person in the mask, if that is Bray, that must have been recorded earlier and played at the same time as Bray was being in the ring, because there's no way that Bray's physical body can be in two places at the same time, right? I mean, I understand, like, we're going down into like supernatural roads, and this is very much where I struggle. But I can't. I would be struggling then, because there's no rules. Then is the like if his body can be in two places at once and all this kind of stuff. I mean, we just got a very real Bray Wyatt, a very honest Bray Wyatt, a very emotional Bray Wyatt. So for me, like, it'd be difficult for me to get my head around, like, okay, how did that interrupt? The only theory I would have is that he'd recorded it earlier and gave an instruction to the production truck to play it. Why they would play it during his promo, though, I don't know. This is where it can get a little loose for me, where, like, you know, it's not as tight, it's not as, I don't know, it's got a few rough edges there. So, but I could see it being Bray, but just trying to get it to fit, like, how is he on screen and in the ring at the same time, can be a little bit tricky for me. But yeah, good thoughts, Rob. Shout out to you. Jason Parsons says Pazuzu, the demon from Exorcist, is called Uncle Howdy by the priest, and Howdy can appear, not Bray, on the Titantron and tell people to come home. Pazuzu, the demon from Exorcist, is called Uncle Howdy by the priest, and Howdy can appear, not Bray, on the Titantron and tell people to come home. Yeah, we're still really struggling to know who that is, aren't we? We're still really struggling to know if it is Bray, if it's a different person. There's a few people that actually listened to his speech pattern and the tone of his voice, kind of came up with the thought that it was not Bray and that it actually might have been Bo or someone else. So still very much on the fence as to who that is, what that is, but yeah, there's a couple of theories there for you to wrestle with. King said it's Bray for sure. It's supernatural for sure. It's no different from Bray in ring and Fiend on Titantron, said King Chris. Well, I mean, the only difference I would say is that we know that the Fiend character was a supernatural character. We don't know about Funhouse Bray because we never really got any answers as to really where Funhouse Bray came from. It was just a different part of Bray, I suppose, but we never found out really where the Funhouse was. So I don't know what Funhouse Bray was. So Funhouse Bray could have been a supernatural character as well, I suppose. But like, I think what we saw from Bray on SmackDown, we were told was the real him. I have to think the real him is not supernatural. So again, this is where I struggle, because what I thought I saw during SmackDown was Bray Wyatt, but an emotional Bray Wyatt that was sharing a lot and was very much turned up. Like, you know, he went out there and got very upset, got very emotional, and shared a lot more than we have ever seen. Like, that felt to me like that was Wyndham. And Wyndham turned up to 11, because when I say that, I mean, like, when he felt himself starting to choke up, he could have took a second to have just recomposed himself. He chose not to. He chose to continue and get emotional and to show us that. So to me, like, that felt like it was Wyndham sharing a lot, turning himself up to 11 kind of a thing. I have to think that one is, that's the real him. I don't think what he said was lies at all. I think he genuinely wanted to thank the fans. I think he genuinely has had people saying, "You've saved my life." I think he genuinely has lost people and genuinely lost his self-confidence. And I think all of that was very, very real. So I can't say I look at that character and think to myself that that's a supernatural character. And that's the difference between that and Funhouse Bray, because Funhouse Bray, we don't know what Funhouse Bray was. We don't know if that was a supernatural character or not. So, yeah, I don't know. This is, for me, where I struggle. I really think Uncle Howdy is going to actually be Uncle Harper, and that will tie in that he is in Bray's mind and that Bray has lost himself, says Liam. Okay, that's cool. I can see that. Black Star said, I think there's a faction, but the faction isn't with Bray. The faction is with his alter ego, Uncle Howdy. Me Names Binweevil said, a follow-up from my theory about when Bray has the mask his heel and when he's not his face. Maybe Bray is breaking out of darkness and the mask is there to torture him back. The mask is his past that haunts him. The mask is his past that haunts him. Well, I mean, look, there is definitely some truth to that, because when we see the mask on screen, the images from the past promos are being shown. So those images from the past promos, are they there to haunt him? I genuinely don't know. Like, is the past just something that haunts him? Maybe the past alone haunts him because of how he was mistreated. And maybe this mask is a reminder of that past, maybe, but don't know. There's nowhere near enough at the moment to kind of confirm or deny that. But it's a fun theory. Enigma said, the other day, my girlfriend left me. I've known her since I was 17 and I'm 22 now. I'm just letting you know how much I find comfort in these videos. Oh, shout out to you, dudes. I'm really sorry to hear that your girlfriend left. That happens. It happens. I'm not downplaying it at all. I'm just saying that it happens and you're not alone. And, you know, I think pretty much everyone has been through those moments. So very, very, very difficult. Very difficult. But you will pull through, dudes. You'll pull through. Richard said, will Bray's first in-ring match be at Crown Jewel? That's the thought. I mean, it would make sense to do it there. He used to appear at the Crown Jewel Saudi Arabia shows. So, yeah, there is a thought that he will go there. Very difficult to do what we're doing and build a feud. I mean, we've got a few weeks till we get to Crown Jewel, but, you know, it just feels like we haven't even begun scratching the surface, does it? I mean, we've had one promo, caught us off guard because it was Wyndham and it was very real and it was very emotional. And now, obviously, we've got this mask, Uncle Howdy, saying, come with me, your life is over. That feels like we're on the verge of a transition. It feels like we're on the verge of... It feels like we're just about to start, to be honest. It feels like we're just about to begin. Like, when we see Bray next, I feel like he is about to go through some process. I feel like he's about to transform. Something's about to happen to him. Because we got a very real Wyatt Wyndham in the ring. The mask then interrupted, said, your life is over. Come with me. You've breathed your last breath. You don't know who you're messing with, kind of a thing. And that's how it ended. So it feels like he is now going to go with him. And what is the result going to be? So that's kind of where we are. So to be telling this story and trying to build a feud or trying to find an opponent or trying to do... You know, at the same time, I think is going to be challenging. We've said that before. But it's just so deep and potentially complex that it's really interesting storytelling. Really interesting storytelling that you can pick apart and dissect and have conversations about in multiple different ways. That it's like, is he going to be ready for Crown Jewel? I seriously don't know. Seriously don't know. I don't think he would do an open challenge or anything like that. And I think for him to go after someone, it would need to be someone that makes sense. Like there needs to be a reason for it, and we sort of need to know that reason as well. So I don't know. I feel like yes, he should be at that show. He should be at that show. I just can't figure out how. I can't figure out how we're going to do this and build a feud and get him like to a match. Plus, he's been away for so long. You've got to remember, he's been away for 12 months and not wrestling, doing movies, being with his family. It's not like he's been in AEW and come back. It's not like he's been in Control Your Narrative and he's coming back. Like, he's potentially not been doing any in-ring stuff. Yes, he will have done a bit of training to get back into shape to come back into the ring. But someone pointed out there was a picture of him that someone had took that was actually at SmackDown. He's got a knee brace on. He's wearing a knee brace. So we don't actually know if he's even medically cleared at the moment. And when he is he going to have a bit of ring rust? Does he need to be in a tag match? The first match we might see him in might end up being Survivor Series once we've actually introduced like this new faction. So that might be what we're working towards. So Crown Jewel, I think everyone's looking at that as potentially being the first match. But I think there's a very real prospect his first match might be Survivor Series. I don't know if he will wrestle. He might make appearances, but he was wearing a knee brace, said Adam Adams. My name's Ben Reevil said, I also thought about what you said about Bray taking the mask off at Extreme Rules. If he was a heel, why take it off? Maybe Bray is only controlled for a small time, and Bray is trying to reach out. Don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, if he's being controlled for like a small time, then it's like, when's he being controlled? When's he not being controlled? I don't know. I mean, I feel like he could be... I don't know. I was going to say, it might be that he's being made to wear the mask by this Uncle Howdy character, and it's a way of compliance. So, not so much that it controls him, but more he has to do it to comply. He has to wear it to show that he is part of this Uncle Howdy thing. But we don't know that yet. As we said, we're going to have to wait and see. Black Star said, more than likely his first opponent is going to be Ray, or if they really want a major matchup, the Wyatt Six bloodline screams War Games, says Black Star. Ashley said, for all we know, he wore a knee brace under his gear the whole time, said Ashley. It's true. Chris Adonis return confirmed. But do you think we need to see more of the real Bray rather than supernatural character? I mean, I do personally, yes. I'm not a fan of supernatural stuff in wrestling. I'm not a fan of it because there's kind of no rules. It's kind of like anything goes. And I just think that some of it can be just a bit of a cop-out, to be honest. I think things get, once you know the rules and you, like, can start, like, exploring them, like, things get really interesting. It's kind of like, if you're going to create this universe, like, you can see the conversations we're having about this mask right now, yeah? So the mask is, once he's wearing the mask, does that control him? Blah, 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 blah. Well, if that's the rule, that he controls it, then obviously we can start looking at it and exploring, you know, if you can get it to work perfectly, where once he puts the mask on, he's being controlled, then I agree, you know, you've got something interesting, something quite clever, and that, you know, I can understand it. I can get my head around it, yeah? I get it. Because once he puts the mask on, he's being controlled, yeah? That's the rule. Everyone gets it. But then, as I just said earlier, why, if he's being controlled, would he take it off? Why would the person that's controlling him want to be not in control anymore? So why would he ever take it off? So then you've got a little thing that you need to kind of answer, if you will. And I just find that with supernatural stuff, those little niggles, those little details, those little kind of, they don't quite fit quite well. They pop up quite a bit. And a lot of people just go, oh, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? But, like, if you're going into that world, like, then the details are really important. People need to understand the parameters. People need to understand what's going on. You know, I said, like, if you've got a supernatural character, how will it ever lose? If you've got the ability to, like, turn the lights off, turn the lights back on, and you're not in the ring anymore. I think there was a moment, I might be wrong, but there might have been a moment where, like, Bray was in, like, a hold of some kind. And I think, like, the lights went off, and when they came back on, he was out of the hold. It's like, well, if you've got the ability to do that at any time, how's anyone meant to win a match? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're in a hold and you're in a bad place and, you know, you're being choked out or you're about to lose, you've got the ability to turn the lights off, turn them back on, you're out the hold. Like, to me, I don't understand the drama of the match anymore. Like, he's never in peril then. Like, I think being in peril is really important, and having weaknesses is really important, because that's how you get the emotional connection, you know? Because, like, you want him to win. But if he's, like, just got these abilities where he can do things like that, he's never going to be in peril. He's never going to lose. I mean, if he's got the ability to, like, turn the lights off, turn off, and be in a completely different part of the arena, how did he lose to Goldberg? How did he lose to Randy Orton? How did he lose these matches? So, you know, this is what I'm saying. You've then got these little niggles that, and the pieces don't quite fit. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I think everything I've seen since he's come back has been brilliant. It's been brilliant. I think what he's doing right now is absolutely brilliant. I loved the Firefly Fun House puppets being, like, dotted around the arena. I thought that was great. I thought the symbolism of that was really entertaining, and you know, you didn't quite know if they were about to take their masks off and reveal that they were wrestlers. Like, you were constantly, like, you were just on the edge of your seat as to where it was going. And then, like, obviously we see the abandoned fun house, this mask that's interrupting, the imagery from the past. And then I mean, look, I could be wrong, but I think people loved hearing from the real Wyndham, because I think that was a real connection that people had. There was no barriers, there was no characters, there was nothing that was in the way. There was nothing that we had to really read into or anything. It was just an opportunity for him to speak to his fans. And I think people really loved that promo. And I would like to see that persona of his stay, actually. I think that persona of the real him, I mean, could you imagine that version of Bray being in a match against Roman, say, and, you know, he's down, he's being beaten up, you know, he's screaming in pain, he's selling, he's vulnerable, you know, the people are going to be just willing him on. It's different with the Fiend, because the Fiend had a mask over his face, so you couldn't really see when he was in pain. You couldn't see the emotion that was on his face. And I think that's why a lot of Fiend matches, or one of the reasons why a lot of Fiend matches are classed as a bit underwhelming, because when he's being beaten down, he can't show you that pain. Do you know what I mean? He can't show you that he's hurting, because it's just a mask that completely covers his face. And I think that if we got this version of Bray that was competing, I think it'd be really interesting, because you can see his face, you can see his hurting, you can see that he's using up the last of his energy, you can see there's not much left in the tank. You're willing him on to get this victory, you're willing him on to get it done. And then if he finally does it, if he actually pulls through, if he actually gets the job done, like, I just think that kind of connection is gonna, you know, take him to a whole different level as well. A whole different level. His character work is second to none. His promos are absolutely fantastic. We've said before, the one thing I'd love to change is his in-ring. And I think that being able to see his face is going to massively help with that. That'll massively help. Making sure that you've got the right opponents, that will massively help. And also planning the matches, making sure that the matches are well thought out, well produced. They're gone through in advance. They're well rehearsed. You know, they're kind of like I've said before, how Macho Man used to plan his matches with, say, Ricky the Dragon. Like, Macho used to plan all of his matches, I believe, but the one at WrestleMania 3, regarded as one of the best wrestling matches of all time. That was like page after page after page of notes, completely planned out from start to finish. And apparently Macho Man would go up to Ricky and ask him, when I do this, what's next? And Ricky would tell him what's after. And they had the whole match planned. I'm not saying like we have to get quite to that level, but I think that if it was kind of put down and some spots were put in there and, you know, maybe a bit of outside interference and people being foiled and, you know, like, I don't know, Bray versus Roman, and then the Usos come down. Everyone's going to be like, the Usos. But, you know, then you have Wyatt Six take them out, and then all of a sudden it goes back to being just Bray and Roman. So, you know, you can take people on that journey. Like, Bray's winning. Oh, you know, Bloodline have come out. They've cost him. They're going to screw Bray. Oh, my God, Wyatt Six are here. Bray's back in it. Now it's back to just being Bray. Like, there's things that you can do to add to the drama and build the tension. And I don't know. They just never really put that level of work into the matches before. There was never anything like, I mean, look at Hell in a Cell, for example. Hell in a Cell was the Fiend lying in the ring and just getting smashed with everything. And then the referee stopped the match. Goldberg, when he won, there was no drama. There was no, like, close falls. It was a relatively short match. And there was no, like, added drama to it. Like, I don't know, a lot of his matches just felt not really that well thought through. I don't know if Vince just gave up early on him. Maybe like the stuff that Bray was in control with, the Funhouse stuff, that was awesome. Tick, yeah. But the stuff that was in ring that like Vince was more in control of just felt so sloppy and lazy. Not really that well thought through at all. So yeah, I'm really hoping that Triple H is going to change that, of course, and we're going to have a lot better kind of in-ring now. Richard said, "Could Uncle Howdy be Aleister Black?" No, I think he's still under contract, isn't he, with AEW? So I don't believe that. I don't believe he's been released. I think he's still with AEW. So I'm not expecting him to come back to WWE. What's the opinion on the new theme song, said Drift Lewis. I've been listening to it all weekend. I think it is phenomenal. I think it's very positive, very uplifting. I've not heard the words, but the chorus that's, you know, really lifts, like that feels very positive, as I said. And we were making those comments when he was doing his ring walk during the watch along. We were like, wow, this feels very big and positive and not what I was expecting. So nothing like hurt, heal, like, and he'd get in, and then of course he'd cut this really emotional promo and seem very genuine and real. And as I said, I think the theme music kind of foreshadowed that something like that was coming. So yeah, if this version of Wyndham is going to stay, this real Wyndham is going to stay, I think it's a perfectly acceptable thing. I think it's good. Yeah. But too bad we didn't get a living Vince puppet. Would have been an awesome cameo, said Jeremy. Me name's Bryn Weevil said, good idea about him complying when wearing it. Maybe when it's removed, we hear from Uncle Howdy, like we did on SmackDown. When Bray is cut off, it would be good if Bray is then attacked whilst not wearing it. Yeah, could be interesting. I mean, at the moment, he's been interrupted and he's been, threatened. That's the word I'm looking for. We don't know where he's going to go now, and we don't know what's going to happen to him. And so we don't quite know what that relationship's going to be next time we see him, because at the moment, he's being interrupted and seemingly threatened, and maybe even by himself, as we said, he could be the person that's behind that mask. So it's kind of tricky. Next time we see him, though, he might have gone through some sort of process, and he might be a different persona. And so it's very tricky to know at this stage, kind of. I very much feel like we're on the verge of something, which is, obvious, because we've not really had anything yet. So I feel like we're on the verge of something. I feel like I think we are going to see a different Bray in the future. I don't think we continue to see this version of Wyndham, because, as we said, that Mask Interrupted saying, your life is over, you've breathed your last, come with me. And so it feels like there's going to be a change. But, we'll obviously know more next time, hopefully Friday. Alex said, if you've not spoke about it, Hell in a Cell pay-per-view will be gone next year, with a yearly pay-per-view in the UK becoming a thing. Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. Also more international pay-per-views coming, said Alex. We touched on it at the start. Yeah, we touched on it on the start. But I appreciate it, Alex. I think we'll spend another 20 minutes. I was going to do an hour, but you know what we're like, we always overrun. We've already gone 10 minutes over, and I don't feel like I've really got into the chat as much as I wanted, so we'll do another 20 minutes, but we'll wrap it up then. I do like these Sunday streams. I do want to try and make a bit of a habit of them. Again, I can see them being on this channel. It's hard to know what to use this channel for, but to be honest, what I'm doing at the moment is when I put a video out on one channel, my next video goes out on the other one, really. The reason why I do that is because, I don't want to just be bombarding videos onto the one channel. There's no point putting 5 videos up on the same channel. It makes a lot more sense to maybe put 3 on that one and then 2 on that one. So that's why things are being split. There's not really the good stuff goes onto the main channel and this is the stuff we forget about. It's certainly not that. I think some of the biggest theories have been on this second channel. I like this kind of Sunday show, so I can see us doing this each week over here. Right, let's go down. Sorry if I missed your answer. Do you think it's Bray or someone else behind the mask? If I was to bet right now, I would say Bray. If I was to go and put money down, I would say that it was Bray. If it is Bray, the theory that I would like is that this is a part of Bray. This is his frustration, if you will. This is a different part of Bray. You see, the thing was, I think his frustration and his darkness was meant to be the Fiend, but somewhere along the line, the Fiend became like a supernatural character, and it sort of stopped being his darkness and everything. It sort of became like a separate entity, and it sort of became this separate being. So I don't know. I mean, for me, I would really like it if this was a Bray that wasn't in control, a Bray that wasn't really thinking straight, and if somehow that had been recorded, given to the production truck, and they played it during his promo. That explains how it's on screen and he's in ring at the same time. And I'd be interested in exploring that. I think there's a lot of potential within that. Patrick said, I think Cross is going to be one of his first targets. There was an hourglass in the QR code stuff, says Patrick. City got beat today by Liverpool, said Edwards. I saw. MDJ said, let's go all night long. Yeah. Rick 15 said, Crown Jewel could be a good moment for a bigger reveal of what's next. Maybe start revealing some members of Wyatt Six. Hey, that's a great shout. I'm down for that. Because it gets him on the show. It doesn't rush anything. It's still super interesting. Dare I say more interesting than his first match. His first match is going to be interesting because what's the persona? What's the entrance music? What's the ring gear? What's his move set? Everyone's going to be looking for Sister Abigail's. Is he doing the neck twist thing anymore? There's going to be plenty for us to take out of a first match. But I think if we were to get a big segment that had like a big reveal of maybe some new members or people that are joining him, I think people would love that just as much, if not more. So, yeah, you could do that at Crown Jewel and then build towards Survivor Series. I like that. I like it. My name's Bryn. We've all said maybe we should call it Sunday Setup Stream as it sets up a new week of wrestling. I like that. That's good. The Sunday Setup. Welcome to the Sunday Setup. The Sunday Setup where we're setting up for the week ahead. I like that. Yeah, I mean, it is worth mentioning that obviously the biggest talking point will always go on the thumbnail. the biggest talking point right now is Bray, hence why we've just done pretty much an hour, if not more, on it. But I'm absolutely fine to talk about, like, you know, anything else within WWE that people want to talk about. Or maybe even people would like to talk about how AEW have managed to get 3.5 million viewers. I don't know if you saw that advert that's doing the rounds at the moment. Apparently there's an advert for, I think, Dynamite that's advertising the fact AEW gets 3.5 million viewers, which obviously the internet wrestling community is very aware of how many viewers the shows get. That apparently, though, is worldwide viewers. So that's like everyone around the world that's watching Dynamite comes out at like 3.5 million. But yeah, there's plenty of jokes that I've seen doing the rounds as they're claiming that they do 3.5 million, which it is true. If, like, you know, you're talking about worldwide, it is true. It's just it's not a number that ever gets spoke about, is it? And obviously the numbers that tend to be shouted about are the US numbers. So yeah, them shouting about 3.5 million was interesting. Chelsea fan said, I like the streams on Sundays. Was it 3.5 million views per quarter, says Exposing. Corsar said, I think Uncle Howdy is him as well, telling him to turn. Howdy recruits the Wyatt Six and attacks a face Wyatt. This makes sense, as Wyatt's best work is heel, but they couldn't bring him back as heel. Yeah, maybe. I mean, this Uncle Howdy character feels like it's heel, you know? Certainly the words it's coming out with. You've breathed your last breath and stuff like that. It's not very friendly. And as we said, bad manners interrupted Bray. So feels like this character's a heel. And it seems like it's interested in recruiting or changing the Wyndham Bray that we got. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting at the moment. And you could be right. The only thing I would say is I am personally not in a rush for a heel Bray, because even though you couldn't bring him back as a heel, I would make the argument you can't really turn him heel at all at the moment. Like, he is so over, so popular. Everyone's talking about him. Like, I think at any point that you're going to turn him heel, it's going to be a bit of a problem. He came in heel. I mean, he came in heel when he first arrived, but he was so, like, cool that people just, like, you know, he was that kind of cool heel. So, yeah, to kind of bring him back now, it's going to be tricky to kind of get him back to being heel. I think it's going to be tricky. To the point where I don't even know if they should do it. Who wants to boo Bray? I don't know that anyone wants to boo Bray. So, yeah, I don't know they should do it. What's your plan for Tuesday as AEW and NXT are going head-to-head? Well, NXT, to be honest. We do NXT on a Tuesday. So I will watch NXT. I think it's Halloween Havoc coming up as well, isn't it? So what I'll probably do is have it branded as... I don't know if I'll brand them as both, maybe. Definitely doing NXT, though, because that's Tuesday, isn't it? So it might be branded NXT, but we just watch, like, have both going at the same time. I can't imagine I'm going to be making new thumbnails and doing all that. So, yeah, probably do that. Have it branded as NXT, but we'll probably keep an eye on both. Mr. DXE said, I don't think it's a split personality. I think it's more a transition of power. Wyndham came out to thank his fans, and then once he was done, Bray took over, says Mr. DXE. Rotem said, I want to thank you. Probably the only person that believed me on Friday's streams. Yeah, I mean, it's really important you remember. I definitely did believe you, Rotem. And I was right there, mate. I was right there. I almost cancelled everything on Saturday just so that I could get to your video clip. And my only regret is that I didn't do it. And I did all the boxing instead. But at least we got to it afterwards. But yeah, no. Very, very impressive. And I have seen it, sadly, being shared with you not getting the credit. I've seen people taking your clip and sharing it on social media. And no, I don't think from our community. They're not names that I recognise. But I mean, look, once it's out there, isn't it? once it's out there, it's out there. There's not much you can really do about it. But yeah, I'll always make sure to give you the shout, dude, because you proper banged on about it. You really did not let it go. So all credit to you. Flojo said, did you notice the Firefly Fun House TV under the box with the logo during the Liv Morgan spot? I did. I didn't at the time. So I didn't at the time that I was watching. I then did a video where I got all the interesting images together. Really, the video that we do straight after Raw or straight after SmackDown, that tends to be a this is what's happened type video. And if there are any early theories, then I do put them in there as well. And I'll admit, even at that point, I didn't even see the TV. But it was when like I saw on social media, people had spotted it. And so we ended up putting it out as like a separate video then. So, yeah, I can see that being a little bit of the way it's going to be. It's a bit frustrating, to be honest. I would love to just do one video that's got everything in it. That's like, this is what happened. Here's everything everyone's talking about. But the problem is the conversation is moving forward all the time. I will go onto Twitter and Gmail and all these different places, and I will have messages from people telling me of theories I've not seen before or telling me of things that potentially I've not spotted. And so the conversation is just constantly moving. And that's why there's this constant steady stream of videos and things that are coming out, because trying to stay on top of it is a flipping nightmare. But in a very fun way, in a very, very fun way. It's something that I'm enjoying, and I certainly hope you lot are enjoying as well. Roasted Baldies, shout out to you, my friend. Really appreciate the support. I didn't forget about you. I just didn't get a chance to get back to it. But Roasted Baldies, I need to sort out this Streamlabs, because that's this bit up here. That's the best way I've got of knowing when new super chats come through. But shout out to you, my friend. And the RCW podcast said Uncle Howdy is the Fiend. It's got the same eyes. He possessed Bray, making him human, not invincible. The mask can come off, but he's got the eyes of the Fiend. That's interesting. That's interesting. The eyes are very interesting. I do agree. I must admit, I've not gone and compared the eyes to the Fiend's eyes. But I think, I mean, in a way, it could be the Fiend, but it could also be a way of symbolizing darkness and, like, you know, symbolizing a heel character, because the Fiend was darkness, and the Fiend, I don't know if the Fiend was heel. I mean, I didn't think he was at the start, but I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I suppose, like, the feuds he was in with up against a heel Randy. He was, I suppose he wasn't. I'm trying to think if he did anything that was, like, heelish, but he was meant to be darkness. So maybe it's a way of portraying that. So it could be a different character, but that's a way of still portraying that it's a dark character and it's got a darkness about it. Or, as you said, it could be maybe evolution of the Fiend of sorts, or Fiend in disguise, or something like that. So, RCW podcast, shout out to you. Paul said, who are the Wyatt Six? Are we counting Husky Harris? If not, then we've seen Cult Leader, Funhouse, Fiend, Howdy, and Bray. One more to come. Well, I mean, Husky penciled, to be honest. Husky is, I don't believe, a character that Bray's going to go back to. It is a character that he's portrayed, but I don't think that it will make up one of the six if that's the way we're going. There's so many ifs at the moment. And as we said, I don't know who owns the copyright to Wyatt Six. So if it's Bray, we might not even use it. It might be... But saying that, Bray might have said, I'll only re-sign if we use it. So he might have got them that way. You know, don't forget when Bray re-signed, I've got to think Bray had quite a bit of the power, quite a bit of the control, because of the fact that he was so in demand, you know. I think that he could have said, look, I'll come back, but this is what I want to do. I want to use this Wyatt Six thing. I certainly think he would only have come back if there were certain guarantees, like he's going to have a bit more creative freedom when it comes to the actual match side of things. And, obviously Vince has gone, and I think he will have had, I would imagine the conversation he had with Triple H was a very long conversation, hours and hours and hours of like putting out there kind of what he wanted to do, what he wants to achieve. And who knows, maybe that led to Rob Fee coming in then and, long time like booking, and maybe that was something Bray requested as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if we get Wyatt Six. And if we do, is that the name of the faction, or is it 6 personas within Bray? I would be expecting some sort of payment for the name idea for Sunday streams. The name Sunday Setup Stream took me ages to come up with. Well, it's hard to know who came up with Sunday Setup Streams, to be honest. My name's Bryn Weevil. There's lots of rumours that it was several different members of the community that came up with it. So it's really hard for me to pin down exactly who came up with it. But I think you will always be connected in a way with that name. So what if the 6th member is the bunny costume figure in the light? The bunny Fusk. Oh, I thought you meant the one that was in the crowd. I was like, I don't think that's going to be in it. Yeah, good shout. Yeah. Well, the only thing I would say is I think the bunny costume figure is interesting at the moment because I have not seen that from an old vignette yet. A lot of the images that we've seen in current segments do tie back to old Bray promos. That one, I wonder if I have it actually so that we all know what we're talking about. I'm sure you know what we're talking about. But that one I do not have. That one I do not have any visibility on it. In the past. I don't actually know if I have it. I keep deleting loads of images off my computer because my computer's just drowning in images. Oh, I do have it. This one. This is a really interesting image because someone sent me actually this saying that they believe this could be stock footage. First of all, someone sent me Brody Lee in AEW walking down the corridor, and I know it sounds crazy, but you can see real similarities between this and Brody Lee in the corridor. When Brody Lee arrives in AEW, he walks down this corridor, and he's got a long coat on, and his hood, the way his hood kind of falls, you can see why it would look like this. I don't know that it's that. I'm leaning towards it not being that, to be honest, but I totally can see why someone thought it was because it did look very close. There's a chance this is just stock footage. It does remind me a lot of the rabbit creation that I think, was it Kyle came up with? Kyle Scarborough came up with a real-life rambling rabbit. And this, I think, is quite interesting that it could be that. But it's so hard to know if it is something or not. But this is one that interests me. This interests me. Not as much as the one in the mask. Not as much as the... I'll see if I can find that one now. Not as much as this one. This one definitely interests me more. Out of all the images, this is the one that interests me the most. Which, when you reverse the colours, we believe is Bo Dallas in that kind of owl mask. That one, I think, is the most interesting. But then the other one, as I said, that really grabs my attention is that kind of rabbit in the corridor. It seems like a lot of the other... This one. It seems like a lot of the other images that we have been found in previous vignettes. So, yeah, I'm looking at those. So, I don't know that... I mean, it could be that you get a couple of Bray personas and then a few other people, and that makes up Wyatt Six. Do you know what I mean? So it could be that you get Bo, it could be that you get Vincent, it could be you get Dutch, it could be that you get Liv, And then it could be that you get Bray and the Fiend, and that makes up 6. Or Bray and Uncle Howdy, and that makes up 6. I don't know. Out of all the options that are likely, I'd say that's probably least likely. I think the 2 frontrunners are Wyatt Six. If it does go that way, will be either 6 personas of Bray, or we get a faction that's got 6 people in it. Whew. Ashley said, "I've just nailed it. Super chat Sundays." Oh, nailed it. Again, really hard, Ashley, to know who came up with that, if it does get used. But shout out to you. It's not a bunny. It's a demon on a chair, says Paul. That's a demon on a chair. This is a demon on a chair. They don't look like demon legs. Those don't look like demon legs. Those don't look like chair legs. I mean, granted, the picture is distorted, but I don't know. I could believe that's stock footage, to be honest. I could believe that it is stock footage. Exposing said, Sundays, setup stream. You don't owe me any royalties. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting to the good stuff. How dark and twisted do you think Bray's new character will be, says James? Well, I mean, I don't know that we can get much darker than the Fiend, to be honest. I mean, I feel like that was a very dark character. The thing with the Fiend, though, was that he just seemed like he wanted to just rip people apart, yeah? I don't know that he was very psychological. Whereas I think this could explore a much more psychological darkness. Because, for example, the Fiend would talk, but he would say, like, yowie, wowie. He wouldn't really say much, would he? Whereas already this Uncle Howdy has said way more than the Fiend ever said. You know, we never heard the Fiend kind of coming out with all of this. So there feels like there's a more of a freedom with this new character, certainly from a vocal point of view. So, yeah, I think you could definitely... I don't know that we can get darker than the Fiend physically, but we can get darker psychologically, I think. So, sometimes the scariest things are the things you don't see, and I kind of think that, there's something to play around with there. So, yeah, I listen, people love these darker characters. This is clearly going to be going to a dark place. Yeah, how dark, though? You'll have to wait and see. Off topic, where is Ciampa? Could he be connected to Loomis in any way? Do you know what? We looked at this the other day, and I don't think there's been any news on Ciampa. We looked to see if he was injured on the roster and listed as injured, but I didn't see anything listing him. No. Just looking at news. It's just 2 weeks ago, Ciampa talking about how his main roster call-up has been perfect. Johnny Gargano teasing a possible reunion with Tommaso. Yeah, that's it. No, nothing. Nothing at the moment. So, yeah, I don't know where he is. Switchblade said, I've got a theory about the video we saw on Smackdown and Extreme Rules with a masked Bray. I think Bray was in the Funhouse and those videos were on TV, were trying to convince Bray to let him in. I think Bray was in the Funhouse. Those videos were on TV trying to convince Bray to let him in. Hang on. So the person in the mask you think is trying to get Bray to let him in. That's where you are. He's not using that terminology anymore, is he? He's going with the come with me instead, which does tie back to Bray's first promo. He said come with me in his first promo in FCW, and that actually featured in the QR codes. So feels like, I feel like let him in is maybe the Fiend's thing. And come with me is this new creations. So, you could be right. He could be, I believe he is trying to get Bray recruited. But as we said, the twist could be that this actually turns out to be Bray as well. If Bray isn't Uncle Howdy, we could get a video package at Crown Jewel of Uncle Howdy saying, "You don't know what you're doing yet." Instead of planning Bray's future, can we just thank Bray for coming back and blessing us with his presence? I wish it was that simple. Yeah, I mean, it's been brilliant so far. And I think what we've had so far has been great. I think people have loved the return. They've loved that SmackDown segment. And it's set things up nice for this week. And that's exactly what this was, guys. This was a Sunday setup stream. We have now all officially been set up. So we are going to wrap it up there. We've done an hour and a half. And we've had some interesting thoughts, interesting theories. And as I said, we will definitely look to do this again next week, where we can dig into whatever Bray has given us on Friday. And I think what's nice about doing it on the Sunday is that you get the segment on Friday. A lot of thoughts and theories come out on Saturday. We can then gather them all up and chew them over on a Sunday. So, yeah, I like it. It works. So we'll look to do it again next week. Awesome, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate the support as always. Have a fantastic Sunday wherever you are. And hopefully I see you again tomorrow. Because, of course, over on the main channel, we will be back with our Raw watch-along. Bye for now.